if you follow my channel, you'll have probably seen my first video covering the PETROMAX Loki Frontier stove. Just the first impressions, the first firing, and basically just how it all goes together. In that video I mentioned my longer term aims of having this in a hot tent for camping, but also one of the things I want to do with this is to pop it into my garden shed, fairly small shed, so I can have it as a bit more of a usable and warm space in the winter months, somewhere maybe to film a few videos on the old workbench, but just really a cool way of using the stove. So that's what this video is about. If you haven't seen my first impressions video, please check back on my channel. I'll also be uploading a video on cooking on this, because we've enjoyed a few beers around it, and also cooked a few meals out in the garden in the open air. But this video is really about getting it installed in the shed. So when I bought this from PETROMAX, bought it direct, shipped from Germany, I got the shed fitting kit here, and we'll just have a quick look at this. Pop that to one side. So you get a sort of silicone sort of cowl, would you call that? Seal, so you can go through the roof. You've got various cut marks there. The second one down is for pipes of 60 to 65 mil, so I think that's what we've got, so we'll be cutting it there. And then you get a off-the-shelf deck fitting kit. Now this is, as far as I can tell, more suited to a metal roof, but I think we can make this work. So in there you've got some self-threading bolts. I'm a little bit mindful that if these are going through a sort of asphalt and timber roof, I'll need to leave a little bit of meat and probably drill some decent pilot holes to stop these splitting the wood, but we'll give those a go. Some little caps to finish those off, and a tube of silicone material just to seal off around the bottom here, and also I guess probably fill the caps. So we'll quickly measure up, we'll get ready, and then we'll get it installed. So just setting this up, these pipes are indeed 60 mil, so we'll cut this off at the 60 mil line there, just with some kitchen scissors I think. That's a nice snug fit. Pop that off again. Right, the next job is to decide how big we want to cut the hole in the roof. So we've got a 60 mil pipe. We have got an opening of up to 11 centimeters there. Now from my test burning, I did take some temperature readings of the top of the flue. It didn't seem to get super hot. It wasn't above 100 degrees. It seemed to lose its heat as it went up. So because I want a bit of meat to screw into, what should we cut it at? Should we cut it at 9 centimeters? Yeah, let's do that. Just use a set of compasses just to help set this up. Okay, let's get it in position. Okay, well that is pretty much where the stove will live when it's in the shed. Obviously it can be taken back out again when you want to do anything outside or you want to go camping. Initially I had some reservations about putting it near the window there. The reason why I've put it towards this end of the shed is the other end of the shed without the window is right on our sort of party wall line. I just thought it was a little bit more sociable to put the flue a little further away from our neighbour's boundary. And actually putting it near a window will allow it to sort of vent when it gets hot, or if I'm cooking on it and I want to let out some steam or any smells. So actually I think that will work out quite well. I don't think the radiant heat will play any mischief with the sort of the perspex glass, but if it does we can put up some shielding. So let's get it measured up and get it in. So I started off by measuring the offset from the wall. Obviously the back legs dictate a little bit of an offset there. Then measuring out on the roof, I took it out a little bit further because obviously I felt that going for a join between those wooden panels was the easier way of doing it. And then obviously marking out the likely outline of the cowl there, just so it wouldn't clash as I bolted it through with the ridge member. Then I marked in the 9cm diameter template for the hole, and I set about stitch drilling it. So I think this was a 4mm bit, just going round, putting as many holes as I possibly could in, and then we'll get up on the top and just go through each hole with a slightly larger bit. Hopefully knock that through and leave a reasonably tidy outline. Obviously a nice sort of core drill would have done the trick much better, and I do have one somewhere, but I couldn't find it. Then I just roughly marked out places for bolts at 1/4 and 1/8 points. I did hole punch this, which I thought would help pilot the drill bit through. Probably not necessary, but didn't do any harm really. And then just went through, I think it's a 3.2mm bit, that just leaving a bit of metal for the self-tapping bolt to grab onto. Outside, to make my life a little bit easier, I cut the asphalt roofing out. Nice little knife, that. Very cheap Chinese knife. I think it was an Enlan, about £10. Nice and easy to sharpen. Right, and then just finishing off the stitch drilling with a slightly large drill bit, and eventually I was able just to knock that hole through. Again, not the most pretty job, but good enough. Just lining up the cowl on the outside here. Just wanted to get through one sort of pilot hole to locate it. Just making sure there's a little bit of clearance from the flue to the roof structure on both sides there. And then just applying a little bit of silicone all around the underside. Bit of a fuss doing up on the roof. Ended up just popping upside down there. All the way through this process I was wondering why this silicone was so stiff on a nice warm day. On hindsight, I'd obviously not cut the hole big enough. After a lot of fussing around, found it impossible to get this pipe back on without doing it from the underside. So I just popped down to get it in. A little bit more silicone, probably not necessary, but it's a job you only really get to do once there. And then just lining it back up to get that first bolt in through the pilot hole that I've drilled. Just bolting it with a little sort of micro ratchet set there. Went in very well actually. I had my reservations about these self-tapping bolts, but they're absolutely fine on the timber. Just going around for the other 8 locations. Again, tying them up. They've got a nice little sort of rubber seal around them, which snugs up nicely and look like they'll do the job really well. And finally, these sort of weatherproof caps. I think they are friction fit, but I didn't see any harm in just putting a little bit of silicone under them just to help them grab on. Just finishing off there, and the final bit to put on is the spark suppressor. This is right next to a hedge actually, so I don't really want any embers flying out the top. I don't think they probably would, but again, the kit came with a spark suppressor, so certainly no harm in using that. Okay, and there it is in situ. Slightly wobbly camera there. I don't have a posh tripod which pans nicely, so that was the best my wobbly hands could achieve. And there we have it in action, burning quite nice and clean there. You can see the proximity of the hedge, and that's about it. Okay, so really lovely day today. Great day to be out there fitting this this flue into my shed. The evening started to draw in now, and it's a perfect opportunity as things got a little bit more chilly to give the Loki here a test run in situ in the shed. A few observations and thoughts really. The installation was really very easy. Obviously I sort of stitch drilled the hole in the roof of the shed. I'd really like to have had one of those hole cutters. I'm sure I've got one somewhere, but couldn't find it. So not the prettiest job up there, and indeed sort of the way it's been bolted in, those self-tapping bolts, not pretty, but it does seem to be very, very functional, and it seems to have been quite easy to fit. Couple of things I've noticed. Obviously very easy to light this, get it up to a good running temperature. As you saw, a little shot cut in, burning pretty clean, probably burning a little bit cleaner now that it's been going for a sort of few moments longer. The flue actually does get a lot hotter than I'd originally understood. Just taking a shot out of off screen here, up at the top of the flue, it's well above 100 degrees. Let's just give that another hit. Yeah, 164 degrees up at the top there. Obviously it's got its silicone flashing, shouldn't be a problem. It's clear of the woodwork up there, but just something I'll keep an eye on, because last time I ran this I didn't think it got much hotter than 100 degrees, but that's pretty hot, so that needs a bit of attention. But I don't really have any concerns, just want to make sure I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, really, really nice system to install. Obviously this is all demountable, as you saw in my previous system. It all packs up into itself, and you can take it camping, and that's probably what we'll be doing next. So, you know, I've bought this with the intention of getting a hot tent, so having a sort of teepee style tent with this flue attached through the top of it. I think that'll be a really great camping experience. But this is a really nice way to use it, and it'll make this shed space a little bit more usable in the winter months for me. One thing I have got, and I've pinched this from the front room currently, little carbon monoxide alarm. I will be installing one of these in the shed. Obviously no concerns today, but I think it's just something to be mindful of, and certainly carbon monoxide is absolutely deadly, so I'll get a separate one of these for the shed. And yeah, really pleased. Piping hot in here. Can make my cups of tea and whatever else I fancy in here now. And yeah, well, that's about it really. Check out my previous video for the overview of this. We'll be uploading a video about various ways to cook on it, and then later in the year, all things being equal, we should have a video hot tenting. Okay, well, if you haven't seen my channel before, please check it out. We might find some other common interests, so it's not all camping gear. Everyday carry, pen knives, fountain pens, cycling, guitar, fashion, footwear and denim, one of my key themes. Yeah, check it out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've got one of these stoves, let me know what you think of it. And of course, subscribe. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.